Hi, people, and welcome to Moral High Ground, where I talk about what's morally right and morally right to you. And today I'm staying on this homeless thing again because I think it's time for me to get back to my roots of this show and channel and whatnot. So today I'm pulling up an old video I made from an old show I created called UUPN. Uh, Unified Urban People News is what it means. And I was going around interviewing homeless people, people in shelters and stuff. It became a burden though because it's really unsafe sometimes to walk around the city with cameras, and not just that, it's just a lot of bull you have to put up with people, and they expect handouts and stuff. A lot of people doing interviews in the streets, believe it or not, are trying to either pay people or whatnot because a lot of folks don't want to be talked to. You gotta, you know, make them come talk to you. And so I'm believing that a lot of those people pays them because I've had people come up and act like that. So I just gave up the interviewing people, street people thing because I'm in situations and places where people shouldn't be, but yet they're homeless and they're living on the streets in those places. So I just gave it up. But the whole thing is, I still like the idea of the channel I created there. And if I had more of a team or something, I would bring the show back and with different, background platforms and stuff. But anyway, I created an episode, and this was, I don't know how many years ago now, 2, 3 years ago, maybe a year ago. Well, actually 2 years. I don't know, shoot, 3 years ago, I'll say. And anyway, in this episode, I called it Homeless Solution. I took my time, did a little research on American history with things, and one thing that's always been on my mind, even before I did the show, is the Homestead Act because there's only two states that it actually is in. Right now, Alaska and Colorado. You can go to Colorado if you can live on the land for a year, or I think it's 2 years, uh, and be able not to need help from anybody and stuff, and build your own shelter and everything. You can own that land. Okay, it's your land. No one can take it from you. I don't care if you build 4 cabins within the same area and however long uh, back you make it. That's your land. It can be freaking up to 5 acres, 10 acres. It doesn't matter. If you build whatever it is on there and you're able to make it sustainable and livable and everything you need right then and there, then it's your land. So that's amazing, right? Alaska has the same thing. I think they did that with those people. There's some show, I forget the name of it. Y'all probably know it real well because reality shows get looked at real well, even by people who I only seen like maybe 2 or 3 episodes. Some kind of, I want to call them the bird people, bush people maybe or something. I don't know. But there was like a family and some girl with glasses, and they were making like paper as a ventilation for the house and stuff, and I don't know, but it was in Canada, Alaska, and so Alaska has the Homestead Act still. So what the Homestead Act was a way to get people to spread out across America, make little properties and towns, and in some cases, some of the little places became towns that we know well today. And the thing about it is, no one had money to do anything. It was just like go out, be American, create something, be a pioneer. And we got a lot of legends of pioneers in our history that get overlooked, like Daniel Boone, for example, uh, which is one of the greatest American pioneers. And there's so many, and then the one you guys all know is a Little House on the Prairie. They were pioneers. They went out and found that little prairie and made a little house there, and that's why it's called Little House on the Prairie. It sounds stupid saying it, but anyway. So my idea when I came up with this homeless solution thing was to put out a thing that's been on my mind forever. I keep explaining to people. No one's listening. No one's getting to what I'm talking about, but it will solve the homeless situation. Understand this, people. The whole country is not overpopulated. It's the cities that's overpopulated. It's the towns that's overpopulated. And this is why everyone's like, oh, it's overpopulated. No, just these places where humans reside. If humans are there, it's overpopulated. If you're out in the woods or, a little forest area, or I don't care, like, somewhere by a river, desert area. It's not overpopulated. There's land all over there. You just got to find a way to habitate on that land. You got to find a way to make it fertile. You got to put resources there to make it livable and stay there. Unless the government goes, hey, there's alien base under this place, or there's some pyramid right here, you don't even realize it's there, and there's a portal to another dimension, because that's really what's going on, the top secret crap. If you want paranoid stuff, go check out my cousin's channels like BLK Unicorn or some crap, and they talk about stuff like that. But honestly, like, it's easy to get your own spot. And so the point of this is to build something that can create a community for the homeless people and get them out and start a whole new town. And it might take the pressure off a lot of these cities and states where there's tons of homeless people overpopulating, looking bad. And with the drug thing, it's a whole different thing. With that, I believe it's time to make wealthy rehab centers for poor people. I mean, come on. The rich people go, I don't know why I keep itching the top of my nose. But anyway, so, rich people got their own rehab centers. And when you always hear about it, it's luxurious, and they got, big food dining. They got all these activities and things, and it's supposed to be way better than some of the ones we get here, where you got a rehab place that will, stop you from doing things, make you believe in God and all this stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with that either, though, believing in God. But to those who've been incarcerated, a lot of it is like incarceration. So it's not a good thing. And so that's why we have so many people on the streets, and a lot of people not in rehab. And this is a thing. But here's the thing. So I can talk about it, but we're going to be watching me talk about it. So I might as well just get into it. So what I'm going to start off here, and so I pause at a certain part that I'm going to play. And the part I'm about to play is I was talking about at that time what the city's solution was for getting rid of the homeless problem. And then after that, I talked about what my solution was for getting rid of the homeless problem. And I don't know, after watching this, leave a comment and let me know what you think. So here we go. Let's get into it. We're going to see what's happening, going down. And yeah. This sucks, man. Jordan Peterson. Who the hell is Jordan? So here we go. We're going to play the video from the jump. We're going to get into it, and hopefully you leave a comment or some kind of thing to tell me what you think. But you probably heard it all before. I bring you the video of the first solution to fix the homeless problem in the city of Portland.
Back on some potential solutions, because over the next couple of weeks, we expect a lot more details to emerge about actually two plans, one from the city and one from the county, to get more than 1,000 people off the streets over the next year. And we're going to start with the cities because we got some updates on this one. As we first reported on Friday, the city wants to use $20 million in federal COVID relief aid to buy or lease land all over Portland, basically in every neighborhood, and build multiple organized outdoor camps. They're calling them safe rest villages. It is important to note the city hasn't chosen locations. We don't know how big these villages will be, and we don't.
Okay, so since this plan, and like I said, this is a while ago. This is before the safe rest villages actually happened. This was the beginning of them. They're actually around now. And at the same time now, this $20 million of COVID relief aid, didn't go anywhere for a whole year, okay? And after that, they came about and they said, oh, we have $20 million that, comes from taxes and job sources, some bullshit they said, to try to explain where that $20 million came from. But originally it came from them sitting on their ass and not using this money to help house the homeless. And then it got to like 60 million that they had laying around to help the homeless. Once again, that never happened. They never did anything with that money. Somewhere in there was 20, and then it became like, what was it? If I remember right, the news thing I saw. I didn't record it or keep it around like I do with the rest of these news clips, but it was like saying that they had like, I guess, 35 million, and then it went from 35 and 40 something, then just all together it came to $60 million, and yet they didn't do anything. They spent about 5 grand of it on tiny home villages or something like that, 5 or 10, something like that, and yet they were still. I mean, it was in the thousands that they spent, and they try to tell everybody, "Oh, it was in the millions." And if you know anything about construction and building things, it doesn't cost $1 million, especially to make a tiny little home. Even if you were to rebuild your kitchen or something, people will get tricked by contractors, and contractors will be like, "Oh, it's $10,000," because it's their labor and cost. And the parts are nothing. You can go to Home Depot, buy all the parts real quick for a kitchen to build, and once you build it, it's only going to cost you about $3,000 maybe in supplies and stuff to build it. But yet somebody's going to charge you $10,000 because, hey, that's the squeaky wheel. Everything has to come around the full circle to jack you up. Okay, so they have this money still sitting around, y'all. Trust me. And this is the thing I was trying to go off about around that time, or a year after that. I was trying to go off about it. And if you go through my videos and my playlists and look for UUPN or even Moral High Ground, and not even just Moral High Ground, I got another one called My Mental Monologue. My Mental Monologue and UUPN were like my first shows on here. I have so many show ideas, not enough time, not enough people working with me. Some of y'all think this is all me working with somebody. It's just me, seriously. So, anyway, yeah, this 20 million is bull, y'all. And we can get rid of all the homeless. And like last week, I was talking about how the homeless are living on the ocean or the river and living by the river, and they're starting to overpopulate them areas. And this is true. But here's the thing: there's still a large amount of homeless people in the streets. So to them to get off the streets into the river means there's a severe problem. This has to be taken care of. It can't be ignored. Because one day you just wake up, you try to go by the river, to hang out. Maybe you sit by the, bridge or wherever, smoke a joint or a cigarette. I don't know what you do. Maybe eat your food, look at the water, and you see bodies floating in there because they were too busy trying to act like it wasn't happening. And then, some giant boat, the shipping boat comes in and runs them into, runs over their little makeshift stronghold, and then biggity bam, dead bodies everywhere. This isn't cool. This is not safe. This isn't right. So it has to be taken care of. But enough of what I'm saying right now. Let's get back to this.
Don't know if they're tents or tiny homes, but Housing Commissioner Dan Ryan just told the Oregonian this week that officials will be bringing a proposed ordinance to the City Council with more details on this. It could happen as soon as next Wednesday.
And we will have more dialogue about that. It's really important for us to take some steps in the right direction. We need some action. I think Portlanders are ready to see something different than what we're experiencing today. And so if we could have 6 of these villages up and running by the end of September, that's a step in the right direction.
So what happened, he didn't make 6 villages at that time. What only happened was there was like 2 or 3. One by the Lloyd Center area, another one further out. And they actually had one down here downtown by the train station that stayed all right with the people probably inside, but all their homeless friends was hanging around the fences around there, made it difficult to walk around there. The trains going by or the Maxes going by, and it was really annoying because they wouldn't let nobody walk through the damn sidewalks. They're coming up asking for money, and after that, the whole train area got filthy. It's so filthy, it was just like, I don't know, like you're walking in Gotham and they're about to kill Batman's parents. So it's just really bad. And the cold part about it was they're right next to a place that could put people in a shelter. They're right next to TPI and a transitional project. I forget what the I means. And that place is actually even worse. Because when you go in there, there's like all the smell, and there's so many people that's homeless, and it's just like overwhelming. Let's talk about a cultural shock. You will have a heart attack walking in that place. when you're homeless and you're like, oh, I need help. I go to this place, help me out. When you go in, there's so many people that's mentally ill, so many people that just let themselves go, wearing battered clothes and stuff. And I know there's got to be churches that hand out clothing and things like that, but this is just really bad. It's like you walk into a third world country when you walk into this TPI place, and that should be addressed and taken care of. There shouldn't be a thing where. And I remember when I walked in there, so there was some girl said the same shit. I said this to a friend of mine. I said, I want to get out of here. And this girl said, I want to get out of here. And I guess her boyfriend was dedicated to using their services. But the problem with this is they should have it to where street going people have their days to go in there and, have it separate from people that's on a regular need that never been homeless before pop in there. And this is the thing people don't address. There's those that just became homeless because housing costs us too much. They're losing their jobs. Jobs ain't paying enough. And so they become homeless. They have nothing to do with drugs or alcohol or any other concept that made them homeless except for money not being given and money that they can't give to stay in the place that they want to be at. And so those people like that need their own individual place, separate from those that are drug addicted that choose to be on the streets. Even though there's tons of shelters that could help them, they choose to be on the streets because they can do drugs freely. Like I said, some of these places are like institutions, like Clark Center that is part of TPI. They are a little different. You can be a guy walking there, and but you got to be on a waiting list. So you got to call them every day until the waiting list comes, and that makes it even more of a burden too, because you have to call them constantly to be able to get their services. And if you're not calling them, you don't move up on the list, and you can't move into the shelter, which is annoying. And then you got beds that are all next to each other. So once again, you're like in a cell. You're on these bunk bed things. You shower, community shower type of thing. Some people don't shower at all, and it smells like the damned. And once again, people got chores, and they got to get up and do chores and all this crap. It's hell, especially if you're trying to just, do your job or whatever. So it's like a thing where you have to get up before they try to make you do chores and take a shower and go to work. But it's a part of what you staying there is to do chores and things. You have to have people sign. Just make sure you ain't going out doing stupid crap. You got to sign papers everywhere you go. Hey, can you sign this? Pretty much letting everybody in the city know you're homeless or you're living in a shelter. They have some resources that come. People that come from certain agencies like a bank. People come from the stool hospital, where, new, trainees to become doctors or nurses or whatever go in there and they try to help you. But they're trying to help you as if you're a patient and you got all day because you're homeless type of stuff. But if you're trying to get out a job to get off your feet, then whatever. But they give you 3 months to get your stuff together and to find housing. Here's the problem. The managers that come in there that are supposed to help you find housing, they don't really care about helping you get to housing. They're more about trying to get people's in there through Social Security numbers. They ask you for your ID and Social Security number, and that's a way to get a tax write-off because it's a non-profit organization. At the same time, they keep your information. They're able to say, hey, we got this person in here, he's a tax write-off, whatever. But they will keep you in that place forever if they could, as long as you're not doing drugs, as long as you're not trying to bring people in that don't belong in there, and as long as you're not trying to fight or have a problem. They're very biased on a lot of different things, and that's something you have to see for yourself. Other than that, maybe you can do everything your own way without bothering people. You can get out of there quicker. The thing with TPI, though, all of TPI, is, they're trying to help people quick, but some of the people are returning people. It's like, it's the same thing like with Jim. You're sitting there, you could probably, I don't know how long you'd be in any one of these places, but however long you be in there, after a while it'll feel like a sitcom to you if you watched a lot of TV. Because then you be sitting there doing something, be talking to people, and if one person leaves, and you're like, oh, that guy was cool, or that girl was cool, and they leave. And then, like, months later, they pop up and you go, hey, kind of like, Norm, how you doing, Norm, hey, like cheers or something. It's like that. And it's like you go and they come back, but in all reality, it's really annoying because some people are really, really gone. Like they turned into this like bag lady, wizard type of thing. Some guy with a cart that had a lot of junk, and they brought him into this facility, and he was trashing the facility with all his junk, and and he's not supposed to. And the rules explain that they're not supposed to bring all this stuff in, but the guy would not leave the stuff alone, and that's another reason why a lot of homeless people don't go to shelters, is they got oh man, I don't know what the hell's going on with my nose, but they got really tied into trying to keep their stuff. They want their personal stuff, and they don't want to leave it behind. And there's also some other videos of people not want to leave cats or dogs behind, and the shelter won't accept them. So there's so many different rules for every one of them. There's a different thing that makes them all a little hard for some kind of person that's homeless. So if there's going to be a place, it obviously has to be a new place. It has to change these rules, these ideas of things, and stuff like that, and make it more reasonable for people. The food thing is always an option too, because it depends on what place wants to give up food for the homeless, what person wants to come cook for the homeless, and things like that. And then the thing about it is, can people act normal and stable around these people when they're doing stuff? Because either people try to give out their time, their patience, and their heart to try to get people fed or whatever. So, but the thing is, some people can't keep manners together because they're on drugs. They walk up to somebody, hey bitch, hey, give me this money, and all this crap in front of everybody with plates waiting for something to get eat, or someone just punches another guy. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff that's not talked about with this issue that just should all be addressed. The story should all be told from the individuals from the street. Stories should be told from the counselors, the people that do the watching things, like, I don't know, like monitors and stuff. Like, they all should be able to have a story put together, talked about in a documentary or something. I don't care what it is. I can do it myself. But like I said, I'm tired of interviewing people. They get on my nerves. So, like, I don't know. It was like I didn't care at first when I started all this stuff, but now I care because it feels like a waste of time. Because a lot of y'all ain't paying attention to what's being said. But if you did, you'd be like, whoa, it takes for me to be Caucasian and wearing a suit or something and for people to pay attention. But anyway, back to this.
6 villages by the end.
So as you just seen, the city has a plan to spend $20 million of relief fund money, COVID relief fund money. And they want to make 6 villages, to get 1,000 people off the streets. Good plan, kinda. But here's my solution. The mayor and other city officials come together and talk to Governor Kate Brown. Ask Governor Kate Brown. And Kate Brown was a thing. I just had to pause it for that part right there, because Kate Brown didn't do a damn thing to address anything that was truly important in the state of Oregon. It's more like a zit you can't get rid of. That's what she was. Is there a way that the city could take at least $5 million of the money and purchase some land in Eastern Oregon, okay, and be able to? Because this is actually the beginning of my plan. It doesn't really take $5 million either for what I mean. I researched the value of certain lands and costs here in Oregon, and some of the best land for sale is in Eastern Oregon. Now, of course, there's deserts and stuff like that, but we're talking about the state paying for resources to help the homeless. And my idea is to improve on that, besides just putting them out there. I'm not talking about like put them out there, put a big fence around, put them in there with trailers and cars and just leave them there. No, I'm talking about making a whole new town, something that will motivate them to do more. Not just make a town, but make something where they can create their own crafts, have their own mom and pop shops, be able to because they're going to be in the middle of like an area that's pretty much wilderness. Like, so teach them how to farm, teach them how to butcher, how to cook, how to, build things out of wood, build things with metal, teach them how to just be go back. It's just deep. I mean, people say primitive, but it's not primitive because people still live like this. So I would say teach them a craft that puts them in a way where it's almost like a simple medieval town or a simple farm town or whatever, and put down some stuff and roots, and it'll work, man. And they think that you can call it, uh, Jubilee, Oregon, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Salvation, Oregon. Whatever the name of the place would be, you can name it after that. Put them in the facility there, put a health facility there, hire a little sheriff or two, sheriff and a deputy, and then biggity bam, you got a little town. It's not that difficult. It really isn't, because the hands of this situation is only in the hands of the authorities and the powers that be within the state, which is everybody that got elected to be a part of the local government. Now, why the local government wants to choose to ignore it to a point to where they want to criminalize being homeless and lock people up in jail is the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's all just about greed. I just showed you they had $20 million of COVID relief money, so it makes no damn sense. None of it does, and plus there's more. Anyway,
an acre's only 90 yards, so pretty much like half of pretty much a football field. That's just 1 acre. Okay, so if 1 acre's 90 yards, imagine what over 100 to 300 acres of land would be. You can easily purchase that for damn near less than fucking $4 million. Okay, that's more than enough land to house
$1.3 million is all you need to do this land thing that I'm talking about here in the video. Back then I did find out how much the land was, how much 300 acres was, and I fuzzed on the price. I can't remember, but I actually went back. It's like 1 million, 1.3 million. So, and you can be able to own like 400 acres of land, and that's nothing, especially to the 20 million you just saw in COVID relief when they want to put tiny little houses everywhere. You can buy that much land, and then everything else is the rest of the money. I mean, $20 million is not even hard. You can say, oh, 7-Eleven, you want to build a franchise here in this place? Bam, we'll let you do it, Bang, McDonald's, you want to do the same thing? Probably get rid of McDonald's, put like Wendy's there. Hey, Wendy's, you want to build something? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to build a little tiny grocery store that they can use themselves because they're living out in the farm area, which means they get fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. They have their own little fresh farm. They can call it that, fresh farm, I mean, there's so many simple things. It just blows my mind how many times I watch the news, how many times I hear about it on the radio or whatever. Anything is always a problem with homeless people, but no one has a solution, and the solution is so damn simple. It bothers the hell out of me. It's just like even yesterday or last week. I'm about to say yesterday, but it's been a week now because I do this every week. But last week I'm talking about homeless people on the water. I'm talking about them on the coastline of this little river, and what doesn't make any sense is, yes, they're in boats now. Okay, let's make a boat big enough to house at least 20 people or whatever, and not just put them in a boat, but put some people in there that know how to negotiate, navigator, person that's the captain of that boat. I don't know what the boating rules is anymore, but I mean, you would go out there and go coast to coast and fish. Fishing is the number one thing that's profit in around the world, because it's one of the oldest things man has ever done to feed themselves, as well as to start communities in a place, because people would live by a river or coastline or whatever and fish and be able to feed their families. It's a lot safer than trying to go after a big prey or something that a big prey eats. So fishing is one of the best ways to feed and provide for people. It's also the best way to make profit, because people started naming the fishes, and you know what this is. People like pink salmon and stuff, and they like red snapper. So these things are easy to catch for people and easy to get out there, and you should watch that. I don't know if they still make that show, that tuna show. That was a crazy show. They go out there and catch. I didn't even know tuna was that big until I watched that show, but it gave me appreciation for tuna. But anyway, my thing is, instead of just putting them on a boat and let them go, let them fish, let them make money, they can stay as long as they want, whatever amount of money they want to get. They can drive along coastlines here around the States. They can even go further through Asia, because we're in the Pacific Northwest. So they can go over to Hawaii, and go over to Japan, all through these places and go through ports and get and learn new things too. It's not just about fishing. They learn about the cost of different things in these countries, probably trade for spices and stuff, whatever, materials. That's what I want to say. I want to say, not materials, but damn, resources that they need, and be able to, maybe start a friendship with someone across the land. And they won't be just looked at as homeless people. They'll be looked at as boat workers or fishermen and stuff, and probably get pride. And they can say, "Hey, we took this boat to Japan. I want to get off here and live life here." Well, hey, go ahead. You're American. Now you're Japanese. So whatever. I don't know. It just makes sense to me, And it wouldn't cost, once again, millions and millions of dollars to start something like that. I mean, you can make a fleet of these things around the country. You can make at least 20, just to start off, 20 different boats that could house 20 people. So it's like 2020, okay? And 20 big boats, they house 20 people to go fishing, to do all this stuff on the crab fishing, whatever it is. And, they communicate with each other, and able to bring information back to wherever the main hub is. The main hub could be a boat docked area homeless shelter. I'm just saying. And it would probably make it a lot more sense for them to do that. And they could write down all the names of the people that get on the boat. And they can bring whatever belongings they need, depending on if they're a person that's attached to stuff or has animals or whatever. It's a whole different thing. And, you probably could bring a dog or something on there, parrot, I don't know. And it would be simple. It would make money for the people, and they have a choice to stay wherever the hell they want. And I think that would be good. That was just based off of what I'm talking about last week. It's not hard to think of something to change a negative into a positive. That's what I'm trying to say. So that whole stuff what I was talking about last week, people being on the boats and stuff, and change that negative into a positive, and it would work. It would honestly work. It would feed people, first off. Second of all, it would give them finances, because you can go to a place, catch fishes, give them to a place pay you for how big the weight of the fish is and stuff like that. And on top of that, they have a choice to find a place to live. It's a win-win-win. Okay? And honestly, I think it should happen. This situation I'm talking about here is also a win-win-win. It just has to do with local greed in every state. That's why it hasn't happened yet.
The homeless people more than enough land to purchase homes and be able to follow this plan by building these things in that land to make a small town. Now, these things are needed to make a town, as well as coming together and trying to put, medical facilities in there, job training facilities, teach these people how to farm, how to, create things off the land, all kinds of things. Educate them in mechanics, things they're going to need for people that may travel through that area. So that's something that's less money and less chaotic, because if you add these 6 villages and you put 1,000 people in there or more, okay, it's just going to add more problems. It's bad enough the city's getting larger.
So the reason why I say it will add more problems to just making a village. Here's the reason why I said that. Because sometimes I say things and I got the thing up in my head, and it's kind of like when you tell a riddle and you don't want to tell the riddle, but you already know it. So what I'm saying there is, you put these 6 villages out there where they're going to make these little tiny homes, and you put the people there, and it's going to cause more problems. The reason why I say it causes more problems is because, first off, they're not going to go get a job. They're kind of going to stay in the same rut. They're going to sit there, and some of them might go get a job. There's some people I know that went through those villages and got jobs and stuff, but a majority of them is not. They're waiting for the government resource. They're waiting for all kinds of facilities to pay for this and that, and to give them, looking for handouts. They're not serious about trying to survive on their own. To me, that's more of a human trait than anything. I mean, we're, as American people nowadays, are too reliant on the government and all this stuff. People need to push and try to get what's theirs by their own hand, by their own will, not by looking for places and people outside of their own circle or their own will to get things done. And so it becomes a problem because they're going to take advantage of those resources and trash the place. The thing they put supposedly $20 million into will get destroyed quicker than shit. And that's the honest to God truth. So that's why I said, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be more problems because they're going to lay around and do nothing. They're so used to being not able to do anything. And some people like being homeless just because they don't have to do anything. They don't have to work or none of that. And then talking about, I mean, because there was some girl that was like that a year or two ago that was going off about like how she like not working, not having to do things, and because she's a female, she's not always in the streets. There's some guy picking them up, letting them stay there and stuff, and that's a whole nother issue. Women are a whole nother can of worms when it comes to this homeless situation. Not just because their safety is at risk, not just because, you know, they have menstrual cycles and stuff like that, but because the fact that they have the option at any time to get off the streets by being a person that you can rely on and trust and you know, whatever. There's, like I said, there's a story I seen, and it was very impelling about a woman that was homeless, felt like she was halfway to death on drugs and everything. Woman changed her whole life, got kids, a husband, looked like she's a rich person now. That's amazing. And it could happen to all the women because women get better attention than men. Men, on the other time, we're like some wild beast that's walking around until you can tame us. And most dudes just want to get tamed in the bedroom way instead of get tamed in the most mental, compassionate, and protective way by a woman. If that makes sense. I don't know. I went off topic. Anyway, the homeless situation is critical. Seriously.
But to have people stacked on top of people is no good, because that's just going to make it more harder for people to get along, survive, and then with the COVID going on, you don't know who's spreading what to where. And then once again, the people who sit in the city that are homeless, that don't want to change, they don't want to get off the street. So if you put those same people in housing in these little villages, they're going to make more garbage again. They're going to make more mess. It's going to continue to keep going on. So
I kind of just talked about exactly what I was talking about before I talked about it. So I don't know. This is kind of funny watching this old video. I ain't seen it in a long time. And the green screen and everything I was using, it was white. So that's why you see all these little, like the stupid dot on my nose and a dot right here and all this crap. It was a whole process of trying to use a green screen. If you look over here to this side right here, this is actually the background of the stupid thing. It's it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But it's just funny. Look at this again. But honestly, the reason why I brought this thing up, like I said, is a homeless solution. Easy to see it. You just got to hear me rant a bit like I'm doing now.
it's a simple solution. Very simple, I'm telling you. I checked it out. It was 170-acre land, somewhere towards Madras or Great Grants Pass.
Oh yeah, that one.
You know, in between there. And that's a little distance between each other. But either way, it cost only what? $1,300,000. Okay? Way less, and it's only 170 acres land. Like I said, 1 acre is 90 yards. It's half, you know, a football field in like a little inch. Like 10 inches, okay? You know, 1st and 10. Okay? I'm talking about football. So, you know what I mean? That's a damn good solution. You put like
I said 1st and 10. I just had to stop. I know it's about football, but there was a show back in the day. They used to come on HBO called 1st and 10. And it used to come on before the Gary Shandling show, if you guys know who Gary Shandling is. He used to have that Larry Sanders show. That's who Gary Shandling is. But the Gary Shandling show was hilarious. Some people don't remember that. You know, plus it's probably showing my age by saying that. I can also say I used to watch Super Dave. Super Dave Osborne around that time too. So yeah, it's probably showing my age.
I said, these you know, businesses and things in there, and they have their own little town. And like I said, medical facilities, mental health facilities, job training facilities, and these people can be reestablished. That way, if this scenario happens again and other states start bringing their homeless and people they feel are worthless causes to the city of Portland. The city of Portland always has a solution. There's enough land for people out there. And so even if there's a thing, I know there's a whole environmental thing, or, we're worried about taking away natural land and stuff, but think about it. You got all these people, you put them out there. One main job of their focus of being out there is to try to grow trees and things to try to make oxygen and trying to help the environment. And we can make them, plant things, be able to make a giant garden or hatchery or something of that nature. Then we might be, cutting down on the whole greenhouse gas thing or whatever and bring more oxygen to Earth. That's really the whole thing about the ozone layer being depleted is just adding more trees, adding more plant life. Yes, there's less carbon emissions, but at the same time, carbon emissions doesn't really work if you get rid of all the cars and all that, because we already get carbon from the sun. The carbon-14, because hydrogen is the...
So I'm about to hit my scientific theory, but I try to explain a billion times. No one understands what the hell I'm talking about, and to me, I know it will save the planet. But I'm just a average black man, so what I say don't matter. But but yeah, I forgot. See, I'm saying it's kind of cool watching this old video because I forgot how many things I did plan this out well. I forgot about the whole hatchery idea, which was a good idea too. It's like if you teach people how to make plants, grow plants naturally. Some plants need grafting though. Like if you're making apples, you gotta graft it to another tree, like maybe a cherry tree, so you can grow apples. Apples aren't really planted like they like the apple seed, Johnny Appleseed crap, and it's a lot of grafting involved in growing certain fruits and vegetables. Well, just fruits. And so, I mean, that would be awesome to bring something like that back. Because I even remember when I was younger, it used to be fruits and stuff. Kids used to go and climb the trees, get, apples or pears or whatever, and cherries were everywhere. And they don't have that no more because the city got tired of cleaning it up. Got tired of cleaning up peaches and all that crap that fell from the tree that took over the streets, and every year they're cleaning them. So they made people cut their fruit trees down. And instead we got these dumb fern trees and all that, pine trees and things like that. And I think it's bad. I think maybe all them other trees, them different types of trees, connecting with the other trees, because there's a whole root system down there. They got communication underground. It's not like the stupid Wizard of Oz where the trees talk and they throw apples at the chick. It's like literally underground is a communication hub of trees. And they're all connected, not just trees, bushes, ferns, whatever. They're all down there connecting through a root system. And one depends on another one for this nourishment. It's kind of like, you need knowledge. This place tells you tell somebody they're hiring, then you hear from word of mouth from another person. Another person, hey, this girl's single, so they end up talking to this girl because that guy said this, or her sister was this. It's a communicational hub. It's the grapevine, if you will. And so the reason why we don't got a lot of trees is because every time people go out and plant trees, they're always planting out the ferns. They're always planting out the pine trees. They're out there planting out plants that don't give you nourishment. And I'm thinking, usually that's only for farms. I'm thinking maybe this is time to start planting all types of trees that you can to get that oxygen, to get the world more stable again. Because think about it, if the world ended right now and there was no more supermarkets because they were cleared out before it got really bad, and there's no warehouse full of stuff because once again they got cleared out, and everything was destroyed, and you had trees around, but yet no nourishment come from the trees, no vegetables, I keep saying vegetables, but no fruits, no pears, no apples, no bananas, no whatever, cherries, grapes. Well, grapes come from the ground, but these on a vine. But anyway, none of this stuff, then people would die. So, I mean, it's like worth a try. Even if he was to especially if he was to make a homeless community like what I'm talking about, yeah, put them trees out there. Put 2 apple trees, put 2 cherry trees, 2 pear trees, uh, you know, what do you call it? Peaches and apricots. Freaking plum trees, all that. Just put two of all kinds around the place. However you want to do it. Give them their own little orchard, or wrap it around the whole place. 10 feet apart, and people have food even if they can't afford it. You know what I mean? It's gonna come during the summertime. It takes 7 years, I think, to grow a tree to full status. But even when it's still in its mature or getting mature age, the infant age, I should say, then it would still grow some form of fruit or nutrient. So, like I said, that's a good idea. And I forgot all about the nursery thing. And I mean, I had it really planned out back then. So you're hearing most of the plan, but then now I kind of went above that, but then I forgot about this. It happens, y'all. Age, man, it confuses all of us.
The sun mutates to a form of carbon known as C14. So, and it gets inside all plant life on Earth. We eat the plant life, which actually shortens our lifespan, as well as the animal life on this planet. That's why they always say in the Bible that people live to be 900 years old or whatever. But, the ozone layer started depleting back then. That's why people started living shorter and shorter lives as time went on, and that's from the water, the firmament. It's a whole different.
So once again, this is like my scientific theory that kind of hits creationists. Really? I'm trying to do a show. Okay, people, I had to stop for a minute because there was these dumb people working outside with the stupid blower thingies blowing wind and blowing wind, blowing leaves and stuff. So it's like, I had to stop for a second because it was really loud and it's probably messing up this whole thing. So anyway, what I'm talking about here, and it's actually a double plan of mine. Like I said, it's a win-win-win. So not just the homeless people going out there. It's the hold on, damn it. Hello, Matthew. Your phone was off. This is pretty much of a busy day, y'all. I keep getting these phone calls that don't make sense. This one's from one of my friends, a buddy of mine. So that was all right. But everybody else, quit calling me. And the guys outside, quit doing crap right next to my door. So anyway, back to what I'm saying. I had a good solution, so it would have been a win-win-win. It was to house the homeless as well as make a town. But I forgot about this plan I'm talking about here, where I wanted to make it to where it was environmentally helpful to try to stabilize oxygen and, pretty much make an oxygen rich environment around the globe by making these things. Because there's tons of different homeless places in lots of different cities. And all cities have a problem, but all of them have some land somewhere that's vacant. And I'm not talking about within the city. Land that they can make a small town in as long as the people are able to habitat. So next week I'm going to show a video of people who actually did exactly what I'm talking about, but not in the proper way. And like they need a little bit more thinking and a little bit more help, someone with a bigger mind to make it more efficient. But yes, that was the plan, and then not just to have them working out there with plants and stuff, of trees and whatnot, but to make a thing where you can sell these fruits and vegetables and things, and they can make profit. Just like with the boat idea, where the people can go out and fish and whatnot, and able to sustain some kind of a life. It'd be the same thing in this new town. They'd be able to fish or not fish, will grow plants and stuff, and have a harvest and sell stuff. Pumpkin patch, whatever, watermelons, whatever it is, squash. I don't care. We can make one vegetable or one fruit that they have a lot of, and then turn around and sell it to the people. They can make, if it's fruits and stuff, they can make jams and jellies and stuff. If it's vegetables, you can can good them, dry fruit them, whatever, or dry fruit them. You know what I mean? So hopefully y'all know what I mean. Not dry fruit them, but dry the vegetable and sells dry vegetables or whatever. There's so many different ideas. There's so many ways you can make a business. People look at it as when you talk about farming or ranching. Especially in a retarded city like this, they always talk about some dumb crap like, I don't know how many times I heard about Backboard Mountain or whatever the hell the movie is. I don't even know what it is, but I've heard it so many damn times. It's just stupid. Or they think of some hillbillies that's sitting there playing banjos, doing some crazy crap with moonshine, and it's ridiculous because most wealthy people in America are farmers. So it's the best way to. I mean, we could be sitting here trying to keep living this life, this system that they made for us in the city, thinking we're doing something when really we're living on a thin line of survival because any of us could be homeless at any time. And the thing about it is, well, we're still trying to work with a system that's falling, steadily failing our citizens. Okay, the homeless people could be in this environment I'm talking about, reestablishing their lives and becoming something greater by learning skills and talents and be able to make money and be able to hold on to it until they actually can use it in the right way. It just depends on the right form of the degree of homeless people, the ones that are. And you gotta understand there's categories, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. There's categories. There's the ones that's just homeless because they can't pay their rent and they don't get enough money from their jobs. They can't find a job that pays enough to qualify for their rent because their rent goes up every year, which is stupid. And then there's the other one where they had a loved one or whatever, divorced them, or some cases, messed their whole life up and they're homeless and they gave up. There's no one else to take care of them because they spent their whole time with that person, and that person made them get rid of everybody else in their life that was meaningful. And and the people that are in their life that was meaningful or was in their life period wasn't that good of a person to be around in the first place, and that's why they ended up homeless. And you got the drug addiction ones, of course. Then you got the ones that are prostitutes because, not just because they're drug addicted, because they fell in love with the wrong person, they thought they were a pimp or something, and that's why they're on the streets. And it can go both ways. It don't have to be just females. It can go both ways with that situation nowadays, because people are always talking about all this, stuff I don't want to get into. And, and then there's the whole situation of those that are alcoholics and they don't want to be, they can't stay nowhere because they end up fighting people or whatever. And alcohol is a weird thing. Some people it makes happy when party and stuff, like myself. But yet I don't care about stuff when I'm drunk either too. So it's like having fun, and spend my whole wallet on crap that makes no sense. And but there's people that are really drunk and they can't socialize, they can't handle themselves. So this make it hard and difficult for them to be in a place because it will break windows, all kind of stuff. And then it comes to the mentally ill, which is the last category I try to create here. And when it comes to mentally ill, a lot of it, yes, you could say is drug-induced mental illness, but the other half of it has to do with long-time trauma and personal problems. So I would say, all in all, that it's something where people don't just need to be rehabilitated, don't just need to be taken from these things that put them in that situation, but needs to be appreciated. Needs to know that their value is worth something. Need to know that they mean something to people. I've seen a lot of things, and a lot of things happen with people that are on the streets over the past, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years now. It's been a while, and I've seen a lot of people take their lives because people treat them less than human. They walk by, I've seen people yell and scream, and it was so obvious to me why they're doing it. And then other people will be like, "Oh, they're streaming because they're crazy." No, they're streaming because no one's talked to them. Literally talked to them all day. Like sometimes if you see me, like, hey, how's it going? You know, I'm really like really positive guy. Sometimes, you know, other times I'm strapped in my head thinking of some shit, or I just woke up and I look mad to everybody, or you know, you get that puffy face, angry type of look. But anyway, I walked by and I was like, hey, how you doing? Something to this one guy, and he was like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, why? He's like, the dude just shocked, and he's like, you talked to me, and I said, yeah, why the fuck not? You're just standing right there. And then he like, no one's talked to me all day. Talk to me in a minute. And I said, well, shit, man, you gotta just say something back to them or whatever. He goes, I try. I feel like a ghost. I said, man, you ain't a ghost. I'm looking dead at you. And I forget what it was. I gave him a cigarette and like $1 or something, some crap that was like loose change in my pocket. And he was like, "Oh my God, thank you." Da, 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 da. But it was so funny because the guy literally was thinking he was a ghost and some other crap. He was just like this look of shock on his face, and I mean that type of thing is actually happening outside right now in every state with homeless people because no one's talking to these people. They should get quiet. I mean, that shit happens. I've been on the max. I had to yell at people on the max as homeless because they think they can get away with anything because people think, oh, just leave them alone. And no, you can't just ignore what's happening. You're enabling the things that's happening. You know, and there's been situations with my job at night because I done heard women screaming in the night, and I done ran to that stream, and it'd be a whole bunch of let's just say really critical, traumatic stuff happening, and I tried to stop stuff a bunch of times, and after a while, man, it's just really it takes a toll on you, the stuff you see and deal with. And this situation needs to be fixed. The problem needs to be fixed. Not just because there's homeless people on the street, not because the place is getting tore up, because people's lives are at risk. People committing suicide, people getting raped and killed, people intense, just being intense, even if they're not doing all this other crazy stuff. People intense that's getting beat up by regular people, kids and stuff coming over with baseball bats, beating the tent up in the middle of the night just because they're homeless. There's a lot of that stuff going on too that never gets addressed. But I'm addressing it right now because people don't pay attention to this type of stuff. I mean, I came across, who was it? I think it was like three people. Can't remember who the third person was, but one of them was a girl and a dude. And there's a third person. Just can't remember who it was. And I walked up to this thing. They had freshly built these tents right next to this on ramp of a bridge, and they got beat up that night because that morning I was going to get cigarettes and stuff. But anyway, they got beat up that night by a bunch of teenagers, and some of them had skateboards, a lot of them had baseball bats, and they beat the hell out the tent. And one of the guys managed to get out and try to chase them. They beat him with the damn baseball bats, and these guys didn't even call the cops because they felt the cops weren't going to do anything but tell them to move on to another area. This stuff happens, y'all. And the thing about it is, as much as the city wants to act like they're helping, they're enabling, they're not doing anything, they're keeping their pocketing the money. This same money I'm talking about in this video is still sitting, okay, to this day, in what? City Hall, whatever, and not being used. These people are sitting on millions of dollars to help the homeless and doing nothing with it. You know, when we got this new governor, damn, what's her name now? Anyway, some crazy name that sounds like some video game character, and she wanted to take like pallets or whatever and put them underneath the freaking tiny homes or some crap, and that's not nothing. That's nothing. It's odd to me, a normal citizen like myself can think of an outrageous plan, a good plan to actually help the homeless people, not just the ones that walk around the city, but the ones that choose to be on the boats or whatever the hell. Come up with a good plan, plan it out in certain ways, and yet city officials come up with the most childish, ignorant crap. You pretty much want to make a playhouse that you give a little kid for a homeless person, and then charge them to stay there. And it plays a lot. It did like it just doesn't make any sense to me. You put these agencies around where you put these rules that you know they can't follow. You know they're not going to be able to stabilize themselves there. You put a law that says, oh, homeless people, you know, can't sleep on the streets if there's room, or that's not how it goes. It goes, if there's beds open in a homeless shelter, uh, that means a person can't sleep on the street. They have to go to a shelter. That's the law. Right? But all the shelters are empty because the rules and the stuff that they put on these people that they know they're not going to be able to follow are there. And so that's why we got all these homeless people out on the street. It makes no damn sense. But it blows my mind when it comes. And this is why I know it's voting season. I don't give a shit no more. And I'm more patriotic than most people. The thing about it is, I don't give a shit because I see the problem. It can be fixed, simplified. You don't have to sit there and say, "Oh, uh, this is a problem. We need help and stuff," and don't really have a plan. Just come up with some bull. Literally, what I'm talking about here in this video, what I'm talking about here right now, and my own video, making it again to you guys, is simplified. Just take the money, put it in a place that has to. Oregon's one big state. Now, the funny thing is, in this video a minute ago, I did mention Grants Pass. I did mention Madras, or no, not Madras. What the hell is it? So Grants Pass and Medford. Okay, and Medford has some hot chicks. But anyway, so Medford and Grants Pass is so close to each other, and lately Grants Pass has been trying to pass to arrest these people if they're homeless, type of thing, harassing the hell out of them. And they do got a lot of open land out in these areas. But here's the thing: nobody did anything from this time that I talked about to right now to where they're trying to make them homeless. I mean, arrested for being homeless. And so it's kind of crazy. And then a guy did a video there, and just recently there's another video that actually explains what this shelter was doing to the people there. You know, but in the video that this guy did, and he went down there. I think I put it on the show here or channel, one of my previous episodes in the past 4 months. They went in there, and the church people were like, "Oh, yeah, they can come in here," and they told the one guy that was homeless to go on and explain what's going on. The guy explained like the institution. Well, it just recently came out that the guy in that shelter, the preacher guy that was running the church as a shelter, was stopping people like he was going to accept somebody in there and make them come live there. And the person was happy, and they said, "You have to clean up, and you got to do a job. You got to look for a job, or you can't stay here." And the woman says, "I'm disabled." And he said, "Well, then you can't stay here." It's not fair, really, for a person that you already know is disabled, who probably gets Social Security and some kind of other benefits, can't stay in a place that's also supposed to be a house of God, okay? As well as a thing where, you want them to work for, which means they'll mess up their whole Social Security, which means they kind of go on a back step, which will put them right back where they started, in the streets. Because they're not going to have no money after that. You didn't give them a job. They can't really work the job. Even if I think Social Security gives you 20 hours to work a week. Something like that. So you can work like, 2 days. And if that's not going to keep them in that shelter, then what else would? And there was another situation where a woman had pets, and they wasn't going to go with that. And so forth. So all this guy did, he got exposed. First video, he was trying to defend himself, but everyone was explaining how the shelter was bad. And this other video I found just recently explains how he manipulates the people and takes advantage of them and makes it so they don't stay there. And this is all supposed to be underneath a church. That's supposed to be a shelter in Grants Pass. So it's pretty bad. I mean, once you start understanding that there is some kind of benefit from the people that create these shelters, you understand that why these homeless people stay away from these shelters. And probably through word of mouth they're saying, "Hey, don't go to the shelter." Another bad thing is when the news come up with a new law that the homeless people don't know about because they're not watching the news. They're probably watching this. They're probably watching YouTube. And that's stupid. They should at least go hand out flyers. Like when they had this whole law they made last year, or I think it was last year, where they're saying, "Oh, you can't sleep in the city during the day. You got till 8 o'clock in the morning to pack up your stuff and move along." And then people were complaining about moving all their stuff that they got by 8 o'clock. If they don't, they get arrested and stuff like that. And they got till 10 o'clock or whatever. They can plant themselves somewhere, but at 8 o'clock in the morning they got to move and continue to move. Now, what was dumb about that is they only talked about it on the news. They should have went around and gave all the homeless people flyers. It makes sense. let's go a little old school. Everything doesn't have to be high tech. I mean, these people don't got technology. Most of them either sold their phone or lost their phone or someone stole it, whatever. You know what I mean? I think I said stole it twice. But anyway, so at least hand out flyers and let people be a knowledge aware. Make newspapers again, just for the homeless. Why not? It makes more sense than just trying to make everything said on the news or the social media or the internet instead of letting these people know what's going on that's not aware of these things. And that way they can protect themselves from any new law or any type of thing that the city does. And that's messed up. But there's also something that got passed too a year or two ago, where if a homeless person is on somebody's yard and they start getting an argument and by the owner of the yard or whatever, that person, the homeless person, could actually sue that person that lives in that home for harassment. Now that's one of those things that laws I don't like because it's one of them laws where it's a catch-22. You could actually be in the right, and yet this person could sue you because that person was harassing you. But they turn around and go, look, he's harassing me. But what did you do before he started that? You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing with female laws and stuff. It's like they sound like it's a trap for all men, and this is why a lot of men don't mess with you females because they're trying to get us caught up for no damn reason. Okay, and so back to what I'm saying. Back to the video, but I'm just expressing all these things and trying to get these addressed because these are things that I ponder about that truly I think is a slap in the face both ways, either way. You know, it's like if we want to win, we got to make something that's truly going to stick, truly going to work. Because I'm telling you, I don't care if Kamala, whatever you want to call her, becomes president. I don't care if Donald Trump becomes president again. We are so far gone from what our American relatives, ancestors, and stuff believed, and the cities and stuff are all falling. Like historical places are falling and becoming ghost towns, and yet we got homeless people that were regular people at one time. All of us can be this way. It's a grand reset we need to reset the whole clock to make housing go back to cheapest prices ever, so people can actually be the wealthiest country in America. Make rent $50. You know what I'm saying? Make it $250. Make your paycheck $100 an hour. And if everybody get $100 an hour paycheck, we're all gonna be sitting pretty. You know what I mean? At least 200, whatever. I don't care. Especially if you're in a $1 billion industry. If you work for a company that makes billions of dollars, there's no reason. There should be no reason at all why you're not making that money, not making good money at all. So I mean, it's ridiculous. And so that's a whole nother issue. So, but either way, none of that's morally right. So here we go.
Subject, I won't get into that. Science is my nerd thing and biblical thing. So all I'm going to say is this. Okay, it's so simple. And this whole thing is going to be talked about this week, this Wednesday. Okay, on let's see, the 10th, because the day is the 6th, 7th. Anyway, Wednesday. So, like I said, that's an idea worth thinking about. I don't see why it shouldn't work. You know, and it would make the city a lot safer. And wherever the people that's buying the drugs are going, that's where drug user, dealer guys, and everything else is going to go. So
that's another thing. That's another thing right there too. So I don't know why. Once again, I don't see why the city officials, the government, local government, I should say, and the police department don't realize that when it comes to the homeless drug addicts, that they're going to the area where the drug dealer is. They're building tents around that area and all that. Once that guy's busted or moved on or killed, then they're going to move to another area where the bigger drug dealer is. This is what happens. This is what happens in the city. And especially if they come off the streets and they end up in a low-income housing, they're going to be people from the low-income housing that have friends that are on the streets that are going to the drug dealer that lives in the low-income housing. Okay, and that's a problem. So it's like, there's this one video I want to show, and like some of the people in the video that are homeless, I know because they were in this building I worked in, and I'm not gonna say names and stuff like that. But I watched the news video and I was like, holy crap, I know that girl. I know this girl. I know that guy. Right? And I'm like, what the hell? Because they had this whole video about uh, an area of town that became the fentanyl area. And there's this crap that was so obvious, it was almost comedic. The woman that complained and got the news out there, she's complaining to the news loud as hell, talking to the news people. And these two guys are going. And this is the reason why I probably ain't showed it, because I don't want to be like, I don't like to say snitch word, but I don't want to be out there like, oh my God, this guy, he's doing this and that. But it's so freaking obvious. So obvious that they're drug dealers. And so the woman's like, oh, the people, they sit in their cars and they are they out here doing this and that. So these two dudes stop. Like they walking across the street. They get behind the news reporter and they get behind the woman that's complaining. And they sit there. The woman's going off about how the drug dealers are there and why all the people are there. And these two guys turn around and go, huh? And they watch them, they watch them talk and stuff. And then one guy walks off, and the other guy sits there and he tries to go up and talk. And that's right when the camera cuts off. But it was so funny because it looked like a movie scene. Like they were walking. And as soon as they said, she said, they're selling drugs like this and that. They go, what? So it's just like they know they're about to get caught. And it's so obvious. It's so funny that it was on TV. It's like it should be on one of them news blooper YouTube channels. It should be on one of them things. I don't know if anybody wants to do that, but it's just funny as hell. It is like they tell on themselves. This is the body language alone says, okay, these guys are dope dealers. But I don't know. That's just funny. But that's the thing that I noticed even back then. I don't know how many years ago again, but it sounds like COVID. So it might have been 4 years ago or so, 5 now, because we're about to hit New Year. But yeah, man, that's funny as hell because this is what happens though. They will move to an area where the drug dealer is. The drug dealer will put a tent up, live inside the tent to look like one of the homeless people, and he's constantly making bank off of the people around there. You know, he might have a person that come pick some up, biggity bam, they don't touch his tent though, and they come back and bam, they're doing all this stuff. So it's crazy. It's just crazy that the cops don't realize this.
Win-win, and no one's living on top of each other, and it's not like New York, it's still Portland. Anyway, here's the next video. And the next video is another solution. I think it's by county officials or something. But this one here is way more money in what we're talking about with the $20 million relief fund. So see for yourself.
So before I show this, I gotta talk about my still here. It's like I'm so close to making my stuff look professional, but somehow it still looks tacky. And the stupid dots, because of the stupid green screen I was using, it was just really stupid. It's just everything's stupid, but it's cool. It's stupid at the same time. I don't know. I'm making fun of my own work.
Week, so we'll keep you posted. Okay, on that note, on to the county's plan now, and this one is tied to one of those housing bond measures that a lot of you have been asking about, because in May of last year, a lot of our viewers asked, they remember this, metro area voters approved the Here Together Supportive Services measure, and that money starts coming in on July 1st. So County Chair Deborah Kafoury says they'll start using it right away to get people off the streets and into supportive housing. And supportive housing means housing units, in this case, that are already built and they're already available, and they come with wraparound services attached that help people who are battling addiction and mental health issues, things like that. The biggest headline here, the chair says this measure will allow the county to devote $1 billion to this mission over 10 years. And here's how big of a dent she says this could make.
The money that we are going to raise from this measure will go in this next year alone to house as many as 1,300 households. So 1,300 people and their partners potentially will be off the streets, out of shelters, and into permanent housing.
We are talking about housing the unsheltered. Like when you say off the streets, we talk a lot, you and I have talked before about what's needed to keep people in their housing or people, in all different kinds of circumstances. But that's a specific demographic.
Correct. This measure, 75% of the dollars are focused on people who are chronically homeless, and that means that they've been homeless for more than 2 years. And so those are the majority of the folks that you see when you're walking around town. People who are living in tents, or and also people who are living in our shelters.
So right there, I had to stop it. And the reason why is because listen to what she just said. They're trying to house, the program helps people that's been out of home, been homeless for like 2 to 3 years. So the problem with that is, the longer they've been homeless, the more stuff they adapted to. And the regular living of being in a home becomes different. It has to be, I said this before, you have to be rehabilitated to live in a place again, to live in a house again, to live in an apartment, whatever, because you'll bring all that crap in there with you. And then one thing I noticed, and it trips me out, is when people have been homeless for a very long time, their hands deform. It turns almost ape-like. And I've been noticing that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, even girls have big old hands because they're digging in the dirt. They're digging all this just constantly. Big hands. It's like, whoa, what's happening? And then some of them, which is bad, they got rings and stuff on, and their hands start to mutate like that. They get this ring stuck on them, and they get these which is another medical issue, and it happens a lot, y'all. Believe it or not. And so, which trips me out though is what they're saying. It's like, oh, we could just house these people. You can't. They have to be rehabilitated first, especially if there's been a long time. Now, if it's a new person that's newly homeless, yes, you can house them because they still remember what it was to be in a house. A lot of people have been out there too long. They've forgotten. They almost let their animal instincts come in, the primal instincts, as they say, pop back into their being, and that's not a good thing. So, wowzers, this issue's crazy.
So, as you can see, they want to spend billions of dollars to do this crazy program to, house the people and, keep them in the city of Portland. And it's just crazy, man. Like I said, you can buy like at least, you want to make it a little big, make it 400 acres of land, okay? Like I showed you, you can put all these little businesses in there, and I know you're probably thinking, well, Shelby, to put all those businesses there, it's going to cost more money. But no, it's not. If you put a fast food restaurant there, franchise, tell that McDonald's, like, hey, we want you to build a place here, they'll do it. They want to make money. Same thing with 7-Eleven. They got all these franchises. They'll help build something for you or whatever, work with you. But besides the fact, one way, that they can take time to build these things for the homeless people and still get the homeless people places that they can call their own is to bring back the Homestead Act in Oregon. Okay?
Okay, so let's stop here for a minute because this is actually what I was getting to. This was my plan. Like I said, I planned it out a lot more better back then. A lot of people didn't see this episode. And what I was talking about, and this wasn't Moral High Ground either, this was UUPN. So I did my research, y'all. I didn't just create something about the Homestead Act. I created something about, I might have to go move myself around too so you guys can actually read this thing. So what I'll do is I'll stop and I'll come back and put my face and image on the other side of the screen so you can read everything, which I think I might have had something else pop on that side of the screen. Well, in you guys' angle, it's actually the left one. It's actually the right for me. But anyway, but I went back, y'all. I went back 200 years to figure out what happened with the Homestead Act until now. And it goes all the way back to Lincoln, believe it or not. And the whole thing. So I actually researched every state that still has the Homestead Act, some that claim to have the Homestead Act, but they mutated into a way to make housing cost better for them. Not for the people, but for them. Like I said, Colorado and Arizona, not Arizona, Alaska, perfect. Both of them two states are perfect. With just the old pioneer form of going out and trying to find a place of making it your home and giving it to you straight off the bat. So Alaska and Colorado, same thing, perfect. But every other state, supposedly within the Homestead Act, is still around. Nebraska, uh, Nevada, all these places, and none of them live up to the original form. So there's only 2 states that still live up to the original meaning of the Homestead Act. And so right now I'm going to take a break. This is going to be a long episode, so you might want to buckle up. If you like it, keep paying attention. And I'm just trying to get deep into the heart of this homeless situation because I talk about it all the time, and I'm trying to pull out all of the cards I got or whatever I say. And like hopefully my knowledge gets spread around. I don't want anything from it. Just pay attention. Let's fix this thing. Let's fix America, people. Let's fix our reality of America where we are in our state. And so anyway, I'll be back and I gotta fix this thingy. So yeah. Okay, so now this is the Homestead Act. I'm gonna let my video self-explain it, and if I don't explain enough good enough, I'm gonna go back and do it again. So there we go.
The Homestead Act is in Oregon, but as you can see here, this is the guidelines for the Homestead Act in Oregon. And these guidelines represent like pretty much people trying to buy homes or have homes. It has nothing to do with the original way it was created by Abraham Lincoln to be able to, in Abraham Lincoln's way of the Homestead Act was 160 acres of land that a person can live on, and if they can prove they could live there for a certain amount of time, the land is theirs. Okay? Now, this is also used, because Abraham Lincoln made it, it's that 40 acres in a meal tank. But people don't know about it because no one talks about the Homestead Act. It only exists in like a couple states. Alaska is one of them. Colorado's another one. You can live on in the land and somewhere in Colorado for 2 years. You own that land. So bring back the Homestead Act, but put it in certain regions where there's a lot of land. Okay, land that people can probably grow something on or whatever. Even if you can't grow something on it, go build something on there.
So as you can see, I can go back if you wasn't able to read it. I took my time and found that little information. There's also more information I find. I don't know if I remember making more. Somewhere in my mind, I believe I had on both sides of me stuff about the Homestead Act, but maybe because it's been a long time since I did this. But if I didn't, then I got it written down somewhere in my mini notepads I write crap down in and forget about. But I'm going to get back to it eventually. So we're going to go back a little bit so you can see it again and understand. Like I said, the Oregon Homestead Act, like I said in the video here, is not a Homestead Act. Homestead is supposed to be you found some land and you lived there for at least 2 years or so, whatever the state requires, and you're able to take care of yourself, build a house, live a stable life on that land. And so the Oregon Homestead Act has to do with property taxes, house taxes, and things like that. And any kind of thing along with the housing costs, it's bullshit, really what it is. It's just a way to say, oh, we got the Homestead Act, but they're not using it to the full potential that it's supposed to be used for. So here we go. We're going back a bit. Okay. So here we go.
Do it. They want to make money. Same thing with 7-Eleven. They got all these franchises to help build something for you or whatever, work with you. But besides the fact, one way, that they can take time to build these things for the homeless people and still get the homeless people places that they can call their own is to bring back the Homestead Act.
So I'm pausing a little bit so you guys can read this. The Homestead Act were several laws in the United States by which an applicant could require ownership of government land or the public domain, typically called a homestead. In all, more than 160 million acres of public land, or nearly 10% of the total area of the United States, was given away free to 1.6 million homesteaders. This was back when pioneers started, y'all. Most of the homesteaders were west of the Mississippi River. Now, that's amazing. Why can't any president do this right now? Okay, that's beautiful. So when that act happened, and I think I left out the date. I left out the time period and date of when this was activated in the United States. Crap. I thought I made perfection here. I left it out. So anyway, but it was 1800s. I know that for a fact. I think it's 18 something teen or 60s or something, 18 something. Okay. But either way, when this happened, like it says, 160 million. Okay, or no, my bad. 1.6 million homesteaders, which was probably half the United States, decided to go be pioneers because of the Homestead Act. And now we got these towns, these cities, these providences that are named after those people. You know, like we named Clark County in Nevada because of this dude named Clark. And we named certain places because of some native guy, some cowboy, whatever. There's a lot of that stuff going on around America. So you're living in a town probably that's named after a pioneer or a cowboy or a native dude or just a group of people that came together and had some kind of name behind their group and they named the town like Haven Center or something. I don't know. You know, but yeah, most counties are named after the people that founded them and owned the land. So there we go.
In Oregon, okay, the Homestead Act is in Oregon, you know, but as you can see here, this is the guidelines for the Homestead Act in Oregon.
So in Oregon, see, this is the part where, I mean, I can just read it, but I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to let you read it and be shocked. I'm giving you time to do it. Okay, hopefully you read it. Because this is stupid to me. I don't even feel like reading it because it's stupid. It has nothing to do with housing people that's just wants to, I mean, not even housing people, just find land and be able to make a place of your own and call it your own. It's all about nonsense with the home. It's a floating home. You may also be used, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's stupid. So I just believe if they follow the old Homestead Act, officially set it up the right way here in Portland and Oregon, that we wouldn't have the issue of homelessness. And this is why that's important. And there's another reason why I brought my old episode thing up is because of this knowledge I researched. And so the last part.
And these guidelines represent like pretty much people trying to buy homes or have homes. There's nothing to do with the original way it was created by Abraham Lincoln to be able to, in Abraham Lincoln's way.
So yeah, it was, okay, so here's why. Okay, so President Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act on May 20th, 1862. So yeah, I was right, 1860. Yeah, it's been a while. On January 1st, 1863. Okay, so that whole time period was a time of pioneers. And now we're probably about 200 years ago, somewhere in there. But the thing is, let's bring this back, man. Let's bring this act back. Not just have it in Colorado and Alaska, but have it all through the United States, where, especially in the states where there's overpopulation of homeless people. If there's an overpopulation of homeless people and the Homestead Act isn't good for that state, then moving the state over where there's more land. For example, I don't know the name of the YouTuber, but there's a YouTuber who has what do you call it? Anyway, has a show about how many people live in a certain area, but not just people live in the area. He marks it down on a map, and he'll show you the other part of the state where it's uninhabited of humans. And one place was Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia had like everybody living in Atlanta, and the rest of the state was empty. And by watching some of these other shows where there's abandoned places and ghost towns, yo, America's empty. It's so empty because everyone's at these so-called major cities, like Portland's a major city. Believe it or not, when people used to always talk about it being tiny, and it's not I mean, really it is. It's just tiny, and you know everybody, even when you don't think you do. And so, honestly, it's about time to open up these places by making a Homestead Act. There's also something that's not being said a lot. There's this town, a tiny town, ghost town, I think it's Wyoming or something, where the government pays you to live there. It's a ghost town. People don't want to live there though because they're actually afraid of ghosts. And all they want you to do, they'll pay you, they'll bring you food supplies, and they actually, all you gotta do is live there and show the museum off to people that come to visit, because it's some kind of, how would you say, monument. It's valuable to America for some reason. The gold market used to be there or something like that, and then it dried up, and then bam, it's still there, and America still wants to represent it as American legacy. So you can live there. Doesn't matter how many people there is. They want to repopulate this abandoned town that's been abandoned for almost 100 years. And people are afraid of it though, because like I said, there's ghosts. There's supposedly a wife that killed herself that walks out and talks to you or something stupid like that. Then there's a place in Vermont that they're trying to repopulate Vermont. There's not enough people there. And once again, they'll pay you, give you housing, all this crap, and you get to stay there and populate the whole state. So these things need to be talked about as well. And matter of fact, now that I brought it up, we'll talk about it. Now we'll research it and talk about it on this show. So, you know, I can keep going. I think I might have a little bit of something here. If not, I mean,
The Homestead Act was 160 acres of land that a person can live on. If they can prove they can live there for a certain amount of time, the land is theirs. Okay? Now, this is also used, you know, because Abraham Lincoln made it, it's that 40 acres in a mill tank. You know, but people don't know about it because no one talks about the Homestead Act. It only exists in like a couple states. Alaska is one of them. Colorado's another one. You can live on in like the land and somewhere in Colorado for 2 years. You own that land. So bring back the Homestead Act, but put it in certain regions where, you know, there's a lot of land. Okay, land that people can probably grow something on or whatever. Even if you can't grow something on it, go build something on there, you know, and be able to call it your own, you know, and that will, I mean, who knows, if you did this, it might be able to be a town that people will remember. Like, oh, you ever heard of Flatston? You know what I'm saying? Flatston's this place in Oregon that was created when Portland decided to buy land and bring homeless people there. And now Flatston makes the best fabric materials in the world.
Flaxton is not a real town. It's something I created on the top of my head while I was on camera. So Flaxton is fake. But what you don't know is Oregon, out of all states in America, has the most ghost towns. It has like about 88 ghost towns. And they got the dumbest names, some of them. You know, they got Stupidville. It's actually a real thing. Look it up. Just, for example, if you go on Google and just say, how many ghost towns are in Oregon, and watch the number and watch the ridiculous names that pop up, and you'll see that a lot of these homeless people are stupid because they're staying inside, they're staying inside the city limits where you can go occupy a whole damn ghost town and just bring the supplies from whoever got the car that's homeless and bring them there and just make trips back and forth and supply that town whatever you need. You know, no one's there to regulate. No one's going to go there and stop you unless the place is fenced in. You know, they cannot kick a bunch of homeless people out of something that doesn't have people there to begin with, but already has the buildings and facilities to house people. So I mean, it makes a lot of logic. It's another thing that should not be ignored. It should not be ignored that there's tons of homeless buildings and towns and all over the place that no one's going to. They got vacated for this and that. All the homeless people got to do is go in their place, clean the joint up. Bang, you got a place free until the state city finds this joint. And if they find it and they say, well, you were homeless, all of you guys? Well, hell, let's make it official. I'll sell you this house, it's abandoned, for $1. Because that's what the government does anyway. They'll sell a place that was tax liened or taken back from the state and they'll sell it for $1 on the auction, and until it goes all the way up to whatever. It's just like when you go buy a car, it starts off as $1 or $5, whatever. As long as the guy goes, they do that shit, and it goes all the way up, and biggity bam, you're paying whatever cost it is. But literally, that's it's not a pretty way of doing things, but it's a way where something can get done. Like I said, find a homeless person that you know with a car. Guys, look up where the homeless or abandoned town is. Look up what it looks like. Grab a group of your friends, at least 15 or 20. If you got to get more, get more. Get 50, get 60 people. And all go to that homeless or abandoned ghost town and live there. Like I said, there's a lot in Oregon that get ignored. And even if it's just like something that looks like an old cowboy place, hey, go rebuild it, go bring plywood. You can get plywood from pure par labor or par wood or whatever the hell it's called, and a whole bunch of other places. People throw out pallets all the time. You can take those pallets, you can turn them into whatever you want. Doors, you can make them, and take the wood apart, build a wall, build new walls, build new tables, whatever. So it's not a hard thing. So we got to make a solution the best way. And the reason why we got to make it the best way is because our local governments and stuff around America then got stupid and greedy and selfish. So you got to find the best way possible to get your butt off the street. Not just you, because everybody's going to be there soon. I'm telling you, if they're raising rent every month and jobs ain't paying enough, all of us are going to be homeless. And this is what they want. On top of the fact we're already competing, not really yet, but sooner or later we're going to be competing with robots. And I know it sounds funny, but look at Elon Musk and already made walking, talking metas, as they call them. And that's a whole other subject, the name metas. I think he watches a lot of sci-fi like myself, or reads it too. So, but the thing is, they're already functional walking, talking robots. Okay, they already had robots in the automobile field and all this stuff. Okay, sooner or later. And plus AI does so many things that already takes away jobs from people. The thing's gonna happen. It's not the future that y'all thought with Terminator, okay? Where everyone's getting killed off by the robots. The robots are here to take your jobs, not your life. So sooner or later, you ain't gonna have no money. Whatever you can call yourself, so you're a freelance writer, well, they don't need you no more. We got ChatGPT. You see what I'm saying? So sooner or later, your job gone, your money's gone, and you're homeless. And so we have to come up with ways to try to make things efficient for ourselves. If people do find an abandoned ghost town and decide to live there, then that would be a struggle that should go national. People should be putting on their phone on the websites showing, hey, we were homeless and we found this town and no one was using, and make a legal thing about it and change the law so all homeless people can do this. That should be a thing. And then, like I said, the cities and the local governments should comply and give up $1.3 million to start a small town. Or once again, the local cities and stuff should comply with the docks and create a boat system that has a fleet of people that go around that's homeless, trying to rebuild their lives by fishing and going to other docks, making trades and stuff, and eventually being dropped to where they want to go live the rest of their life. And so all these solutions, there's no problem. They're all sound. But what's morally wrong, I should say, is the fact that the government lies to you, the local government, the news, all lies to you to make you think there's a solution, there's an issue that's happening, but we can all physically walk down the street and see homeless people doing all the godliest crap, defecating in the streets, doing drugs wherever, tearing public transportation apart, trying to sexually do crap all over the place. Literally, there's some gross crap I was saying. Me and my partner, or a dude that was in the car with, and he was like driving, and all of a sudden we see this girl, and she's on the edge of the building, and she's rubbing her junk up and like literally orgasms. It's crazy. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube or whatever, internet, whatever, but wow, it's what happened. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff like this. So my point is, all that's to be in the bedroom, all the crazy nonsense. All the criminals need to be brought to justice that are actually doing things that other homeless people and I say other because most of them that's doing these things are homeless people. They try to come in a big group so they could take care of each other like some kind of family. But how can it be a family if you truly don't know the other individual and what they're capable of? And this is where women get taken advantage of, and people do crazy things to try to get drugs and things. There's so many different things. But I believe any solution that actually sounds a little bit worked out is better than one that just sounds like, oh, let's put them in these tiny homes. Oh, let's do this. I mean, the tiny home thing to me is cruelty. It's like putting a dog in a kennel. We're talking about grown ass people that could be 6 foot. You can be 5'11" like myself or something, and you put them in a tiny ass kennel. And especially if they're disabled, we got wheelchairs or missing leg or amputated thing going on. That's not cool. It's not cool to put someone in some tiny hippie shit when they need to be in some stable stuff they're gonna walk around in and actually live functional, like a perfect living situation. Okay, that's the best I can say. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm so over the U.S. government and the damn counties and the stupid mayors and all this, and everyone sitting here is voting season. And I keep getting the same crap from everybody. Who you're voting for? I gave up because I want a change. I want real change, not some fake change where, oh, we're going to vote for this guy and the same problems come the next 4 years because no one really has done those problems. This is something that the people keep talking about century, decades, and all this over and over again. They're not getting shit done. And both sides are the same damn thing. They're both retarded and greedy. What is going on? Anyway, people, because I can't get this phone to stop and everything else. Thank you for watching this episode of Moral High Ground. Hopefully you can see the truth in what I'm saying, and if you can, and even my sincereness amongst my little goofy quirks and weirdness, I say share this video with anybody, everybody. Have them add more solutions to my ideas. Share it to somebody who has money. Make them do something good. One thing about God, He helps us, but He sends people to us as random acts of kindness. Now, find that person with the random acts of kindness and make things happen. And with that being said, this has been Moral High Ground. Peace be with you all. Blessings upon you always. Hopefully tune in to next time's episode, next week. So, peace.